Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi's comments on Taiwan sparked the worst diplomatic tension between China and Japan since the two countries established formal ties in 1972. On November 7, 2025, she made an unprecedented statement to the Japanese Diet, saying that if China used military force against Taiwan, like sending warships or blocking the sea, Japan might see that as a serious threat to its survival. It means Japan could use its self-defense forces under the 2015 Law on Collective Self-Defense to take action. Although she did not explicitly state that Japan would definitely deploy troops, merely framing it as a potential legal rationale under specific severe conditions, this nuance is significant. For China, it was enough to provoke a very sharp response. Hi everyone, welcome back to Difference Frames the World, a channel that offers a unique perspective on global events. We analyze major international moves in plain language and upload videos daily. In this episode, Clara would like to follow up on the worsening situation between China and Japan, the lowest ebb since they resumed diplomatic ties. We published several videos about this diplomatic incident, and viewers can watch them by following the links in the pinned comments. Today, let us first look at the responses from Japan's two important allies, the US and South Korea. The Trump administration has been silent since the new Japanese PM uttered her provocative remarks on Taiwan, neither supporting nor condemning her stance. It is worth noting that the Japanese PM implied that Japan will follow the United States when exercising its collective defense rights, meaning that if the US wants to defend Taiwan in the event of a military takeover, Japan will participate. Taiwan is a breakaway province of China, not Japan's ally, so even if Beijing launches a war to reunite with the island, Japan does not have the legal right to intervene militarily, unless it wants to start another aggression like in the 1930s. China clearly views Japan's potential intervention as an act of invasion. The United States is the key factor in why China has not restored its sovereign integrity in the past decades. It does not officially recognize Taiwan as an independent state, but its public media outlets uniformly refer to Taiwan as a self-governed entity, abreast with Beijing. Two House Speakers, Newt Gingrich and Nancy Pelosi, visited Taiwan officially in April 1997 and August 2022, respectively. The U.S. government maintains strategic ambiguity about whether it will fight for Taiwan. Even after the new Japanese PM angered Beijing with her remarks on Taiwan, the United States has not hinted that Taiwan's contingency is America's problem, as Japan expects. But the U.S. government is always saying one thing and doing another. The United States has confirmed the sale of an advanced missile system to Taiwan, valued at nearly $700 million. This system has been battle-tested in Ukraine. It marks the second weapons package the U.S. has announced in a week, bringing the total value of military sales to Taiwan to $1 billion. Donald Trump told reporters that Chinese President Xi Jinping promised him that China would not attack Taiwan during his second term, but no one in China has confirmed the claim. Also, China does not explicitly agree to sell military-use rare earth elements to U.S. arms manufacturers that could sell weapons to Taiwan. Whether RTX could make the missile system remains a question, and the delivery of such a system to Taiwan is not guaranteed. South Korea, another ally of Japan, has sent clear messages to Beijing and Tokyo that it does not want to mess with the matter. The country cancelled a routine joint military exercise with Japan to avoid any potential miscalculations. It also altered the sequence of the three countries in East Asia from South Korea, Japan, China to South Korea, China, Japan. By positioning China ahead of Japan, it clearly signaled that Beijing is more important than Tokyo. This time, Japan is alone, no allies, inside or outside the region, have supported its bold provocation against Beijing over the Taiwan issue. Even when the G7 foreign ministers met in Niagara Falls on the lake 4 days later, no one mentioned Taiwan. Nearly 2 weeks have passed, and Beijing's response is intensifying and becoming more aggressive, rather than diminishing as Japan hopes. The Chinese government views Taiwan as a red line, and any suggestion of foreign military involvement is regarded as highly provocative. China's foreign ministry condemned Takaichi's remarks as a crude interference in its internal affairs. At a press conference, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Mao Ning referenced historical examples, accusing Japan of using similar survival language in the past, particularly during its aggression in Manchuria in the 1930s. On a more formal level, China summoned Japan's top diplomat in Beijing to register a strong protest. Vice Foreign Minister Sun Weidong emphasized that China would firmly exercise its right to deal Japan a fatal blow if it dared to intervene in a Taiwan crisis. China's Consul General in Osaka, Xue Jian, made a provocative post on the social media platform X, formerly Twitter. He quoted a news article about Takaichi and added in Japanese, saying that the dirty head that recklessly sticks itself in must be cut off without a moment's hesitation. The post was eventually taken down, but it had already caused a significant uproar in Tokyo. Japanese officials strongly condemned the language used, considering it a serious diplomatic provocation. Nevertheless, Japan has not declared the Chinese diplomat persona non grata, although it expressed its strong objections and urged Beijing to recall him. China has also issued clear threats of military consequences. According to the Japan Times, a spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry, Lin Jian, stated that any military intervention by Japan would be considered an act of aggression and promised a firm response. Beijing emphasized that it would view any armed interference as a violation of its sovereignty and asserted its right to defend itself under international law. Publicly, Chinese officials are portraying Japan's potential intervention not only as risky but fundamentally aggressive, warning of possible significant consequences. The Chinese embassy in Japan has advised Chinese nationals to avoid visiting Japan for the time being. The advisory stated that recent political remarks from Tokyo had severely damaged the atmosphere of exchanges between the two countries and claimed there is a risk to the safety of Chinese citizens in Japan. Japan firmly opposed, saying the country is safe and poses no threat to Chinese visitors. This travel advisory serves as a diplomatic signal and a potential economic lever. Tourism from China to Japan is significant so that such warnings can have a real impact. One concerning development is that Chinese Coast Guard ships have been spotted near the Diaoyu Island, known in Japan as the Senkaku Islands. Additionally, reports in the media indicate that China's military drones are operating in waters claimed by Japan, heightening concerns about a more aggressive stance from Beijing. China's state-run media is actively addressing this issue. Editorials and commentary from outlets such as the People's Daily have strongly criticized Takaichi's remarks, labeling them provocative and a direct challenge to the One China principle. By framing Japan's comments in a historical context, such as referencing Japanese militarism, Beijing aims to rally domestic support and justify its threats as defensive rather than aggressive. There are several key reasons behind Beijing's intense reaction. For China, Taiwan is not merely another diplomatic matter, it is an essential part of its claimed sovereignty. Any suggestion of foreign military involvement threatens this fundamental red line. China is not just using rhetoric when it references the Japanese aggression in the 1930s and 1940s. By invoking Japan's wartime history, Beijing aims to highlight how Tokyo's current language dangerously resembles past imperialism. This historical memory serves as a warning to Japan. China's tough responses, such as Coast Guard patrols, travel advisories, and aggressive rhetoric, are designed to bolster nationalist sentiment at home. Beijing must demonstrate that it will not tolerate what it perceives as foreign interference. Beijing wants to convey a clear message that if Japan takes military action, it will not hesitate to fight back. The intention is to deter any further escalation by raising the potential costs for Tokyo. By summoning ambassadors and issuing formal protests, China is placing this issue at the forefront of international attention. It signals that Japan's comments have ignited a serious crisis, not just a minor dispute. This confrontation involves more than just heated rhetoric. There are tangible risks if the situation escalates. As both sides patrol disputed waters and exchange threats, the potential for incidents at sea rises, which could escalate into a broader crisis. If Japan indicates a willingness to intervene and China threatens a strong counter-response, the stakes for all involved, including the US, Taiwan, and neighboring countries, are raised. Travel advisories could negatively impact tourism in Japan, and ongoing diplomatic tensions may harm economic relations. If communication halts or is reduced to threats, it may undermine long-standing channels for conflict management. Japan may feel compelled to expand its military capabilities, prompting China to respond in kind, which potentially triggers a regional arms race. At present, Tokyo has not completely retreated, but is navigating a careful path. Takaichi has stated that her comments were hypothetical and part of a broader assessment of Japan's security situation. She has not retracted her statements, insisting they reflect a serious evaluation of Japan's defense needs. Japan has summoned China's ambassador to promote dialogue while maintaining a firm stance. Although Japan can act under the principle of collective self-defense, its post-war constitution limits aggressive military actions, presenting real political and legal constraints. A Japanese intervention, or even a commitment to intervene, alters the strategic calculations for Taiwan and its allies, if any. It could enhance deterrence but also increase the risk of miscalculations. This situation may strengthen the bond between Tokyo and Washington. If Japan indicates readiness to intervene, it could lead to deeper military cooperation. Still, it could also heighten the risk of being drawn into a conflict as a proxy between two superpowers, as in Ukraine. Beijing might leverage this confrontation to justify more aggressive military patrols, deployments, or political pressure, claiming these actions are responses to external provocations. Because a U.S. lady, Nancy Pelosi, visited Taiwan in 2022, Beijing occupied the moral high ground to patrol the waters close to Taiwan, and this time, a Japanese lady helped the Chinese mainland again. Ladies first is a fitting phrase for Beijing. When those two women made bold moves or said foolish things, Beijing was indeed grateful for their foolishness. Beijing is framing this situation not merely as a diplomatic disagreement, but as a serious challenge to its sovereignty, testing how far Tokyo is willing to push. For Japan, this situation highlights a risky gamble. It aims to project strength and deterrence while potentially provoking a significant diplomatic crisis. At the regional level, it serves as a reminder that even slight changes in rhetoric can have major repercussions for the fragile balance across the Taiwan Strait. Other countries in the Asia-Pacific region are closely observing the developments. Some may welcome a stronger Japan, while others may be concerned about potential instability. However, all of them are silent, showing Tokyo that it does not have real friends in the so-called Indo-Pacific region.